Hi everyone, it's Krista Henderson from Born and Reign Athletics, and I am super happy to have an amazing guest with you today. Her name is Freya Rogers from the UK, and Freya is going to be telling you this amazing story of how she created and why she created the Freyathlon. Her story begins a few years ago when she was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and since went into chemotherapy, and happy to report that she is in remission. And we think that a part of her starting her Freyathlon is part of the experience of what she's been through has influenced creating this amazing athletic event in celebration of the Olympics starting in about a month's time. So we're going to have a great chat with Freya. And Freya, thank you so much for being here. We're happy to have you share your story with us today.
Oh, thank you for inviting me to be part of this. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. So why don't we dive right into it and tell us the background of why you tell us why you started the Freyathlon.
Okay, so I came up with the idea of Freyathlon in 2015. I was listening to a radio program and they were talking about women's participation in sport and what some of the barriers were for women getting involved in sport and particularly staying involved in sport. Because I was like a lot of women, I did a bit of sport at school, but I didn't really much. I did a bit of netball and I did hockey, but it just didn't grab me. And so I left school and I pretty much stopped doing most sports. The two things that I've always done, I've always enjoyed walking, so I have always walked a lot, and I love cycling. I love getting on my bike and just taking off and cycling. So those are the two things that I've always done. So I was listening to this radio program and it was really resonating with me, the discussion they were having about why women stopped participating in sport. Yeah. And I was also thinking about, times when I hadn't been able to be active. After I was diagnosed, I had a really intensive chemotherapy treatment. I was treated as an inpatient, so it meant I was spending, weeks in hospital, and that went on for 6 months. Wow. So that 6 month period, I wasn't able to be very active or take any exercise. And when I finished treatment and moved into remission, I was shocked and surprised at how weak I'd become and how my ability to do very, very simple things had just gone completely. So rebuilding my health and fitness was really important to me. So, it was important to me to be active. And listening to this radio program, that kind of came into my mind as well. And then I thought, hey, it's the Olympics next year. Gosh, wouldn't it be great to have a go at all the sports that women are participating in? And I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Then I thought, right, well, I suppose I better find out which sports are actually in the Olympics.
How many
of them there are. So that was my first bit of kind of research, Olympic research, was, the afternoon after I'd had the idea to do it, I then had to, get online and find out which sports I was going to be doing over the next 12 months.
So we're recording this interview as of July 1st, and you told me earlier that as of today, you've completed 33 of the 41 sports to date. Is there anything that you've done so far that you're thinking, I would love to continue with it?
I didn't get all that question. I think, were you asking me if there are any sports that I want to carry on with?
Yes.
Okay. So, usually when somebody says to me, what's been your favorite sport? And it's usually the last one I've completed. That's usually my favorite. And I actually completed rowing. I did rowing on actually a couple of days ago. And I did that. That's actually, the rowing is actually it's over, the distance is always the same, but it's a different number of people that you row with. And the rowing clubs I contacted said, look, we can't take you out on the water. I mean, I live in southeast London and I live quite near to the Thames. And the clubs that I contacted, they row on the Thames, and they go out, or the one that I went with, they row from Greenwich. for anybody who knows the area. So I was quite excited because I thought, great, I get to grow on I could get to grow on the Thames near Greenwich, very, very exciting. When I went along and talked to them, they said, look, we think what you're doing is great and we want to support you, but we can't take you on the Thames. It's just too risky because it's a tidal river and lots of currents. There's an awful lot going on. And I thought, yeah, well, that's fair enough because I would be risk as well. So what they organised for me was to do a couple of training sessions on the ergo machines. So I did, which are indoor rowing machines. So I did, a couple of nights ago, I went down there and I did 2 kilometres. And then as we were getting close to 2 kilometres, and that's the Olympic distance, we were getting close to that. And the coach who was with me said, okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to stop or do you want to go on? And I said, well, let's go on. Let's go on. We'll go to 5K and see what that feels like. So I rode on to 5K. And it was good. I really, really enjoyed it. And that's one that I think I would like to go back and have a go at that a bit more. And
how has been this ongoing support and reaction of your family and friends this past year?
And some people, when I've told them, have said, well, of course you would come up with an idea like this. And then other people have said, are you mad? And when it's lovely. When I contacted the archery club, Crystal Palace Bowmen, when I contacted them to say, this is what I'm doing, could I come and an archery? I'll have to go at archery. And I got a response back from them, and they said, you sound absolutely mad, so you'll fit right in. And that's really been, that's actually been the response of most people who I've told. People have been really supportive. I think some people have been, it's taken a bit of time for, when I tell people, sometimes they say, okay, yeah, so you're going to do those, okay. And then you can see them kind of thinking, and they go, hold on. So you're going to do rowing, rugby, and they go through the list, and I say, yeah, all of those. And then they kind of get to diving. I was like, yes, that too, So you can, it's interesting. And then when the penny does drop, sometimes people go like, oh my God.
As a plus size athlete, did you at any point ever feel any judgment as you approach different groups or when you showed up in person? I think a lot of women feel like they don't want to be out there in public participating as they're concerned about body image issues or being shamed or judgment. Did you have any experiences like that?
I don't think I did. I think I kind of got out in front of it. When I was talking, before I would go and do some of the sports, I would talk to people, on the phone or by email, and I'd always say, I'm carrying more weight than I need, and that helped me get it out there before I got to actually meet people, and then they would, in case they would look at me and think, oh, really? So that kind of dealt with it. It didn't deal with it, but it managed that. It is something difficult that I think it is something that a lot of women struggle with. Body image, and particularly if you are bigger, I think it is difficult. But the way that I dealt with it was just to say, this is me. I actually want to do this is the thing that I want to do, and I'm not going to let anybody stop me from doing what I want to do. I'm just going to crack on and do it. And I have to say, when I go running around the streets here, where I live in southeast London, and I have comments made to me when I'm running, but they tend to be comments where people say, yeah, go on, girl, you're doing well, keep going. Even the binmen, the refuse collectors, they've now got to know me, and they say, oh, we didn't see you last Monday, or, hey, good to see you again, or whatever. And that's nice. I like that kind of, that positive affirmation and the support. A lot of those people don't know what it is that I'm doing a bigger thing, but they just see me and think, okay, she's giving it a go. So, it's good to kind of get that kind of encouragement.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for someone who is what I call on the sidelines, who has yet to dip their toe in the pool or, walk up to the starting line. So someone who, hasn't really started yet but has been thinking about it a while, what advice do you have for them to get them going?
I would say if you're feeling nervous or anxious about making the first step, find a pal. Find somebody local to you, or find somebody online, and ask them questions. I do that. I get online and I say to people, I'm training for my first triathlon. What do I wear? Can I wear a bra underneath my tri-suit? Underneath my wetsuit? There's lots of practical things that I need to know about that other women who compete in triathlons aren't going to be thinking about. So, there are lots of people out there who have done similar things or can offer support and advice. If anybody wanted to ask me about anything that I've done, I'd be more than happy to say, well, this is how I did it. And these were the things that I was worried about before I got to do whatever the sport was. I said before, I'm not a runner, and I started off. I thought, right, okay, I need to set myself a goal. This was early in remission after I finished chemotherapy, and I thought, right, okay, I need to do something. I need to do something different. I can cycle long distances. That doesn't bother me. So I thought, right, okay, well, I'm going to try and run 5K. So I started, and I just went off and I ran. And I didn't even know how far it was. I just ran around the block and then came home. And then the next day I ran a little bit further. And I eventually built it up. And then I thought, right, okay, well, I'm going to enter a race. I found a 5K race, and I thought, right, I'm entering that. And then I looked at the distance I'd been running and realised that I was already running 4.5K. And I had no idea that that's what I'd been doing. I just went out and ran. So then when I did the 5K, then I thought, right, okay, now I need another goal. So I set myself a goal to run a 10K, and then I set myself a goal to do to do a half marathon. And then Freyathlon came along, so I knew I was going to have to run another half marathon. So, what I did each time was just kind of try and set myself a new goal. Usually before I'd completed whatever the last goal was, so I knew I'd already committed to doing something after I'd finished whatever that task was. But I think I think it's important to find an activity that suits you and that tests you. And for some people that's running. For some people it's going to be getting on a bike. It's about finding an activity that you're interested in, and then finding a way for you to be able to do it.
Yeah. Is there any athlete that you're going to be following at the Olympics?
Oh, I'm going to be following so many athletes come the Olympics. It's been really nice actually, because one of the things I've been doing is when I've completed some of the events and when I've blogged about them and I've shared it on Twitter, sometimes I've been a bit cheeky and I've actually emailed the Team GB Olympic athletes just to say, hey, you might be interested, or you might not recognize this sport as the one that you compete in, but this is how I did it. And some of those athletes have been really generous, and some of them have retweeted, and some of them have sent me, nice messages and things, which is lovely. So I've got a long list of athletes that I'm going to be following. The ones that, for me, the things that the sports I like and have really started to enjoy, as a result of this, obviously the cycling is there, the swimming, the triathlon. I never thought I would be as interested in triathlons as I am, but I am. So I'll be watching that. And then the judo and the taekwondo as well. I really, really enjoyed those. I'm not sure that they're sports I'll be going back to, because I just don't think, I think I'm too old now to take up those sports. I think the toll on my body it would just be too much. So I think if I had started 20 or 30 years ago, I'd definitely be there now, but not starting from where I am.
Freya, thank you so much for your time today. I hope all of our listeners have enjoyed our conversation as much as I have. I think you are an amazing woman. You're an amazing athlete. The fact that you have taken on 41 different events, and the positive attitude that you have brought to your challenge, I think is infectious, and I hope that other women are inspired and, you know, continue on to unleash their inner athlete the way that you've done this past year. Where can people follow you as you continue on with your journey? What's the best way for them to follow you?
So if people want to know what I'm doing, I have a blog, and that's www.freyathlon.com, and Freyathlon is spelled Freyatlon. You can also follow me on Twitter, and it's at Freyathlon. I'm also on Facebook. That's Freyathlon. And I'm in the process of setting up a YouTube channel as well, because I've got a lot of videos of things that I've been doing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Some of which I'm quite happy to share. But no, I'm setting up a YouTube channel, and again, that will be Freyathlon. So, people can get on there. And if people want to send me messages, there are lots of ways to do it through all the social media platforms.
Great. Well, again, thank you very much for your time today, Freya. We wish you all the best, and of course, enjoy the Olympics this summer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this. And now I'm looking forward to a fantastic Freyathlon closing ceremony.